So for our fifth session, we have evidence-based decision-making with LibInsights. Although Sharon Whitfeld has been a librarian for over 15 years, Sharon has only recently become an accidental electronic resources librarian. Sharon's approach to electronic resources is data-driven, which has led to transformational changes in collection development at Rider University. Using LibInsights allows Sharon to quickly identify how monies are spent to support each program, resources that are being underused, and perform cross-analysis on resources. In addition to her day-to-day position responsibility, she was the organizer for ALA Corps' 2020 Avram Camp and is the chair of the Women, Non-Binary, and Trans Workers in Library Technology Interest Group. Her research focuses on gender and library technology. So thank you, Sharon. I will pass the mic to you.
All right, thank you very much. I am here to talk today about using LibInsight to assess electronic resources. It was great to see the earlier presentation that started to talk about ALMA analytics. We do not have ALMA at Rider, though we wish we did. But we do have a number of the Springshare products, and one of those Springshare products is LibInsight. And just to kind of give you some background information about Rider University, we are a small private university, and much like a lot of schools during the COVID-19 pandemic, we did end up with some major collection budget cuts. And so this really forced us to relook at how we are doing collections, and particularly our electronic resources. So just some background about what LibInsight is. It is a Springshare product. It does allow for recording data and performing analysis in one place. Some people utilize LibInsight for the electronic resources portion of it. Some people use it for reference counting. Some people use it for day-to-day operational counts. But at Rider University, we really primarily use it for the electronic resources analysis. So for me, data is key. I really have become a data-driven person over the years, and I find that that data helps me convince people that maybe we're not making the best investment in some of our resources, and that those monies can be spent within another program. And so I find that data is key not only to making that argument, but also convincing people too. So I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the data that I collect within LibInsight that really has helped me shift some of the ways that we're thinking at Rider University. So the other thing too is not only do librarians want to see data, but administrators want to see data. They want to see the annual reported usage. They want to see it for the ACRL and iPads. They want you to demonstrate that the library is being efficient with the budget that you're getting. And honestly, I use it for future budget rationales to the administrators to let them know this is really how much we need it in the future. But teaching faculty also want to see data. It really allows us to show that a resource isn't being used. Because I know we have a lot of faculty members who want to hold on to resources no matter what. But if I can show them with data, hey, this resource isn't being used at all, sometimes it actually forces them to start incorporating that into the assignment. It provides data. We can provide specific data about how much money is being spent per program and per college. So why did we start using LibInsight? There's a number of reasons why we really did. One is we lack an electronic resource management system altogether. We don't have that luxury at all. And I really wanted to have one place for all of these types of statistics. And honestly, I didn't want to use Excel spreadsheet. I didn't want to use Google Sheets. I wanted something that could really visualize well how we're spending. It allows us to really assess the electronic resources well. It and it often will, I call it my ERM light, because I can put in stats, I can put in invoices, I can put license, I can put vendor contact information in, all in one place. It allows for a counter in Sushi, so I can easily get information from vendors and import it into LibInsight. This is the most important reason why, for me, is it moves away from those gut reactive decisions that Rider University was making in the past. And it's really made us more data driven in our decisions. In fact, what happens with a lot of the liaison librarians is they actually say, if you don't use it, it's going to get cut. So, it really forces us to have those data driven conversations and also decision making. I can't overlook the visualization part, because the visualizations tell that story sometimes that people really need to see. And honestly, we already had access to Springshare Suite, so that made it even another reason for us to move to LibInsight. So getting started with LibInsight is actually pretty easy. But one of the things that can't be overlooked is how much planning you really want to do before. And these are some questions that I would suggest asking, is how do you intend to use the data? What questions would you like the data to answer? Who will use the data, and what type of analysis would you like for the data? And so here's just some, this is actually a picture of how we're using LibInsight. We are planning to move everything to Counter 5 this summer. But we actually break everything up by really, we're looking at programs. So that was something that was a clear way that we wanted to go, is we wanted to really be able to have analyze programs together. But it's really easy to start to create those data sets and start to look at how you're going to create those different data sets. Like I said, we created data sets around programs, but you really could create data sets around anything that you'd like to kind of collect. And that's why those questions are really key. Here you can see that we can have data sets that are both our Counter 4 and also Counter 5. Like I said, we're going to be moving to Counter 5, but a lot of our stuff still is in Counter 4. But these are the other data sets that you also can use with LibInsight. So for electronic resources, there are 3 ways to import usage data. You could fetch it with Sushi using Counter 4 or Counter 5 data. You could manually enter usage data, and you can also upload data using a CSV or TSV file. So fetching Sushi data looks a little bit like this. You can select a report type. The standard Counter 5 report types are available. And then you can also do a usage data range. You also can schedule future Sushi harvesting too, which makes it really nice because you can kind of set it and forget it. And so that's one of the ways that I like to go, just because, going out there and kind of consistently fetching the Sushi data every 3 months, it's too much of a burden. So that scheduling is a really nice feature. Here's how you would manually enter or upload the data. And the upload is right down here. But you can easily manually enter. You can take a look at the reports that the vendor has. We use this method for smaller resources where they don't offer that Sushi import. So and this is really handy. I have a student assistant who helps me a lot with manually entering data, and she can go and put in how many searches, how many views, how many clicks we have per month, and so that's also very nice. One of the most important things for LibInsights is really the fact that I can enter cost information. I can, again, either manually upload the cost I can manually enter the cost information, the annual cost information, or I can manage my invoices by uploading my invoices. And that's my preferred methodology. And that's because I now can really go in and download the invoices. I also put my the vendor contact information right in here as well. But it really creates that file system that, you know, I don't have to worry about searching through my email or going to Google Drive. It's right here in one location for me. And by entering cost information, it really allows me to do some great analytics work too. This is actually for EBSCO. This is looking at the different databases with EBSCO, and this is actually, as you can probably tell, a counter 5 data that's being pulled in, and you can see the total investigations, the unique investigations, and this is, like I said, this is really great data to be able to see and use, and be able to, you know, infer what resources are being used by our rider community. So I did take out the annual cost just because of, you know, I didn't want to disclose that information, but I can easily see cost per search and cost per view because I did enter in the cost information. Anywhere where you're seeing zeros, a lot of times that's either because there are open source resources or we're getting that provided for free. But this is really nice information. I can really see at a title level, you know, what the cost of that that resource is, and how, you know, what the cost of each view is. And you can see some of this is quite exorbitant. And so this kind of data really helps us to really analyze, you know, do we really need to keep these resources? And I can tell you that we made major cuts with our science journals because of this information. In fact, we made over $100,000 worth of cuts because when we were looking at this information and we were looking at, we were collecting feedback, we just weren't receiving, you know, we just didn't think that there was enough of a return on investment to continue these resources. So we also did a single journal analytics. This was more comprehensive because we really wanted to look at each individual title. And so you can see, again, you can look at our cost per search on every single title and the cost per view on every single title. And so this is really nice because, again, we could easily see what was being used and what wasn't. And these are single journals that we subscribe to through EBSCO. Again, this was really critical for us when we were really thinking about, you know, how our information, how our resources are being used and how money is being spent. And quite frankly, you know, when we started to see our cost per view being, you know, very high, we really started to think, you know, maybe this shouldn't be a resource that we should keep. The other thing too is, you know, if the resource was really high and the usage was very low, but we knew it was a crucial title for the program, you know, that was when we would be able to turn to the liaison librarian and say, you know, is this in the LibGuide somewhere? Is there an issue of discoverability? And this data really helped us kind of do that analysis that we needed in order to see, like, I hate to say what are we doing wrong, but what could we be doing better? And so that was really critical for us to see that data. Again, here's another example of what we were also looking at. These are some other single journal titles that we had. And we could easily sort by cost per view to see, you know, where are our highest cost journals, and then start having that conversation with the programs and saying, you know, do we really need to continue this particular resource? We're looking at cutting this particular resource. And, you know, we did have a back and forth with the faculty, which was really nice because, you know, a lot of times we would say to our GEMS department, you know, we have marine biology. It's only gotten two views of the article during, you know, 2019 and 2020. Is there a reason for this? Are you, you know, do you think this is still necessary for us to hold on to this? And honestly, what a lot of times they would come back with is, no, we absolutely don't use it. Could we maybe get this journal title instead? So, you know, making sure that we're meeting the curricular needs of our faculty was really crucial. This is just another kind of example of how we use it to show departments how much we're spending per department. So this is our psychology department. These are some of the databases that we have to support the program. And so it's really nice. I can say to our psychology program, you know, we're spending $22,340 just on databases for the psychology program. And, you know, I have been asked from time to time, you know, how much, what's the cost of the searches, what's the cost of the downloads, and I can easily provide this at any given time, which is really nice. So there, like I said, the LibInsights also allows you to have really visual analysis. And this is great because, like, I think a lot of people want to see a visual approach to data. They don't want to just look at the numbers. And so LibInsights really does this. So here's just a cost breakdown for our business resources, and you can see which one is this is our small, I should say, our small business database resources. And so I can see which ones we're spending the most on, and I can also see which one's getting the most use. So even though we're spending the least on Statista, it's getting the most use, which is incredible. And you can see with IBIS World, you know, we're paying a lot for that. But I should say we don't have 0 views on IBIS World or Simmons, just the data for those particular databases are very difficult to collect. So we don't actually look at views for that one, we look at clicks, so it's a little different. You also can do a cross data set analysis, which is really nice in LibInsight too, because I can take a look at, you know, what we're doing, what's going really well with ABI Inform versus, which is a large platform, versus Statista versus Business Market Research. And I can see how the different databases are performing, if they are performing, and how well they're performing. So there have been recent changes to LibInsight, which actually makes it even better. There's, of course, an alert box, which you know, really helps to kind of enforce any kind of messages that you have. You now can copy a dashboard, which is huge, because a lot of times I kept recreating the wheel. You can do journal title analysis if it's allowed by the Sushi provider. The duplicate data information is incredible and has saved me so much time. And there's now also an easier setup of platforms, counter information, and overall with electronic resource management, I think that it's gotten a lot more improved. In fact, this is now what the look of the electronic resource management toolbar looks like, and how much easier and how much clearer they've made putting in that type of information. So now I'm ready for any questions, and I see I have a few. Hold on one second, I had that window and now it's gone. Let me see if I can exit and then get back to that Q&A. Oh, yeah, good. So what exactly is Sushi? So that's a good question. So Sushi's kind of, it's basically, I have to look up what exactly the acronym means. So, I mean, if anybody else knows what the acronym stands for, please jump in. But Sushi is basically just kind of a standard that allows us to go in and collect the counter 4, counter 5 data. It's something that's very heavily used in electronic resource management, and it's really that that ability for us to bring that counter 5 information in. So for me, the LibInsight, the question is why when I looked at LibInsight, the price was impossible to justify. So for us, we have the larger packet, this larger Springshare package. And so for us, it's already really great to have that. So the cost is pretty reasonable. I can't really speak to, you know, if it's a good ROI. I think that depends on the institution. For me, it is a very cost-effective solution. And yeah, I think that if you use LibInsight, I can easily justify the cost of it. Because I think that if we didn't have LibInsights, we probably couldn't figure out, where there needs to be budget cuts and where there doesn't need to be budget cuts. Related to counter, what reports does it support? Originally it was only journal reports. It actually does JR1, JR4. It's bringing in any reports that that you typically would bring in with any, and it does support counter 5. So you can have the DR1 reports, you can do title level reports, and you can also do the JR1 and the JR5. I'm sorry that the image was too small regarding the chart. But I can bring that back up again. But you can also, you'll have availability of these slides later on too. Are there any other questions? Okay, that's everything that I see. Should I hand this back over to you, Jill?
You can hand it back over to SUNY librarians.
Okay.
I can see that. But thank you so much for that, Sharon. That was really fantastic. I am personally invested in this kind of stuff, so it was really cool to see what you could do with that. So thanks again.
Thank you.